legends, I hope you're all awesome. On today's video, we are going to do a mini roundup of 3 plugins I've been meaning to make some videos with because people have been asking about them. The Membrini Audio Hardball, the Neural DSP Mesa Boogie IIC Plus, and the Polychrome DSP McRocklin Suite. We're going to start out with the Membrini Audio Hardball. It is the cheapest plugin at the moment. It's on sale, as a lot of their plugins are when they launch, and basically it's what you see is what you get from the amp. All the functions of the real world amplifier are replicated and modeled on here, including the different channels that you can cycle through up here, the kind of middle boosted function over here, the extended bottom control, the bright control on there. Mostly going to focus on high gain here, so we will start out on channel 3. You do have an IR loader and built-in cabinet and microphone emulations. I'm going to go with my usual free LT-TV Mix 7 cab IR that you can get from the video description. You've also got like post EQ filters for the cab, and then a tight control on here. The tight control, if you want kind of intense metal tones, I think is really, really important over here. We'll start with it off, and then we'll just gradually increase it as I play around with the amp. Pay attention to the middle boosted parameter over here and these bottom controls for channel 3 and channel 4 over here, the lead gain channels. Let's hear it. Pretty straightforward, very easy to get a crushing high gain tone when you combine that tight control with some of the other functions on the lead channels over there. And of course, you've got a crunch channel and a clean channel if that's something that interests you. Again, this one's on sale. It's priced really, really well. You don't get a whole lot of other features aside from the amp and cab, but if you're used to the real world amp, I think this one will make you pretty happy. Next, let's take a look at the 2C Plus plugin. If you're familiar with real world Mark series amps, especially the iconic 2C Plus, I think you're probably already aware of this one. I think the plugin's going to make you pretty happy as well because all the little quirks have been replicated from the tone stack and the way you have to kind of keep the bass very low and crank up the treble on the lead channel to the graphic EQ and the cabinet selection. Again, I'm using one of my own cabs over here, but like every other Neural DSP plugin, the UI is very slick and combines kind of like skeuomorphic features for the amp and cabinet with some just very usable clickable functions up here. So you've got compressor, different overdrives, chorus that you can run before the amp. You've got your cab section over here where you can move virtual mics around, which I'm not doing because I'm using one of my own cabs, but you can do that if you want. There is a graphic EQ and then some time-based effects, delay, and reverb as well. I'm just going to run through some presets that I've dialed in on here. And again, going for the chunk kind of thing. Also like that the pull bright and pull shift controls have been emulated over here. So I'll play around with those. You've also got a transpose function. This is really cool. I really, really like this, where if you want to play along to a recording that's, say, down a half step, but you're in standard tuning, you just pop the old transpose down and it works really, really well. You've also got a built-in doubler, which I will flick on. So let's have a listen to this one. What I like about this is that it's kind of combining the things that I'm used to with Mark series amps, the little pull controls, the way that it's dialed in, with some really thoughtful additions in there. The transpose function and the doubler are really lovely to have. I would love to see them added to the entire range of Neural DSP plugins. In fact, it would be cool if Neural DSP kind of went the route of something like STL, where they have an overarching plugin loader, and then if you own the various plugins, you don't need different instances of plugins on a track to just kind of switch between them. So you could have your Boogie, you could have your Fortin, you could have your archetypes in there and use all the effects from each of them. The other thing as well, I think if you're a quad cortex user, every other modeler out there has a 2C plus model in it, whether it's a Fractal. I actually don't know if the Helix has one, but it's definitely got a Mark IV. There's no 2C plus model in the quad cortex yet. So I can understand if you're a user of a quad cortex and you've seen this come out, you might be a tiny little bit peeved. They don't have the plugin support for their neural plugins in the QC yet. I don't know when that's meant to be added, but yeah, it would be cool if they actually just added this model to the QC as well. There's the JP2C in there, which sounds really, really good, but it doesn't sound like this. So aside from that, I think this is pretty solid. Again, I'd kind of recommend people wait until their plugins go on sale to grab anything. It's pretty cool having a 2C plus in your DAW though. We'll finish up by taking a look at the McRocklin Signature Suite from Polychrome DSP. This one takes a slightly different approach, both from the way it is laid out and the kind of internal working in there, rather than this be based on a specific amplifier or set of pedals. You get these four kind of categories of tone over here. You've got acoustic, clean, edge, and gain. I'm on the gain amp over here. You compare each of those amps with 5 different speaker setups over here. And again, they're not explicitly saying what they are. You just click on them and you use your ears to figure out the one that you like. I kind of like cabinet D3 with the gain amp. Bit of low cut, bit of high cut. You've got some air and resonance you can add. There's a post cabinet graphic EQ. There is reverb and delay built in, chorus and compression as well. And then you've got these kind of boost style pedals over here: attacker, shredder, riffer, and viber. They all have slightly different kind of clipping qualities. You know, the riffer, for example, sounds like a hard clipping distortion, versus shredder, which is kind of tube screamerish, and attacker, which is more like a modern style high gain. Again, the point here isn't that it's really based on anything specific. You just use the one that sounds good. The section that I really like is this pre-effects section, where you've got the compression and kind of level boost, tight, bright thing happening over here. They've called it heat presser. And then you've got a fun section, this synth octave that you can add in there with an envelope filter. So I'll just let you hear the high gain sound that I've got dialed in at the moment. I just modified this 80s super lead preset because I like 80s super leads. The reverb that I'm using is a shot one. You've got space, which is a bit bigger than that, and then dream, which is like your kind of big sky modern ambient thing. Then you've got stereo pong and grain delay. We'll hear some ping pong delay. I'll chuck some drive pedals in front of it, and then we'll have a good time. Now, of course, you've got the other options to have the edge clean and acoustic amps in there. For what I've been using this for, I've just been doing the greasy stuff with it, and I kind of like it. I really like the way the plugin is designed and laid out as something that lets you just kind of fixate on getting a workable sound rather than the skeuomorphic UI where you sort of go, well, hey, I'm playing through this particular type of amp. Maybe I don't want that amp. Maybe I want a different amp. And you forget that you're not playing through an amp at all. You're playing through a plugin on your computer. Not to say that that can sound any worse than a real amp. It's more about that mental space we get into as guitar players, where it should be about trying to pull the best sound possible. And with this setup and with the nice greasy things in here, I found it pretty pleasant because you just click some buttons and then you listen and you make your decisions based on listening to the sound rather than the kind of implicit thing we learn as guitar players where it's like, oh no, the mid knob's a little bit too low or the bass is too high on something that's actually not really an amp. So I'm a fan of the way this is laid out, and personally I would like to see more plugins laid out with this. There's a kind of minimalist aesthetic about it. It's easy enough to use. It still looks really slick and enjoyable while you're playing with it, but getting rid of all that kind of skeuomorphic stuff. I think, for me and the way I like to dial in tones, actually works. And the feature set's pretty good on there. Whether it's worth 149 is obviously going to be up to your particular needs. And as an all-in-one plugin, it would actually be pretty good for that kind of money, you know, compared to say the Neural DSP suite that we looked at. In my opinion, this is a lot more versatile. Obviously, with the Neural DSP, it's going for that one particular thing which people are very, very into. It's a classic amp. You've got a lot of built-in speaker options. The effects in there are pretty good as well. But I think personally, if I wanted an all-in-one plugin out of these three, I'd lean towards this. The Nembrini Audio sounds really, really good. It's kind of no nonsense. It behaves like the amp. You've got all the switches and modes and functions replicated much like the Neural DSP does with the 2C+. So if you're used to a particular amp and you want that as a plugin, on the flip side, I think you're going to find those a lot easier to work in, where it has all the same stuff that the amp has. So if you go up to a Boogie and you go, I want to pull this one and push that one in and turn the bass down really low and crank the treble up, then it actually behaves like that, similar with the Neural DSP Engel plugin. You've got the channels on there, you've got that kind of mid-boost variation on the lead channels. There's a bunch of built-in cabinets, or you can load your own IRs, and there's no fluff in there. Plus, at the moment, it's on sale, so you don't have to spend a whole bunch of money. It's considerably cheaper than the other two plugins at the moment if you get it on sale, which I would recommend with potentially every single guitar plugin that you buy. If you can buy it on sale, you're definitely going to be getting a better deal. There's no IR loader in this Polychrome suite, which is one thing against it. Again, the Nembrini, there's no built-in effects, which might be a knock against it. And then with the Neural DSP 2C+, you've got to know how to dial in a 2C+ in there. I think the presets are pretty strong. As always with their stuff, their plugins sound excellent and they're easy to use, but there's the kind of drawbacks of, well, it's only really going to do 2C+ things, and they still haven't added like a unified plugin framework. It would be cool to be able to say, take that 2C+, one of their other signature plugins, maybe one of their archetype plugins, and have it in just one plugin. So hopefully that's something they will add in the future. Otherwise, I think all of these plugins sound fantastic for high gain tones, as we heard. But now I want to hear from all of you. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. Do you have one of these plugins? Are you enjoying it? Are there any particular tips and tricks you'd like to share? Let me know in the comment section below. If you like what I'm doing here on the channel, there are links in the video description that you can follow to support my channel. Have a great day, and I'll see you next time.